Okay, so I'm pretty excited today to be talking about this little beast of a light. And spoiler alert, this is one of those things that I think if you are an independent operator, this light has the power, the flexibility, form factor that can potentially help elevate your work to another level. And it comes in at a price that I personally can't even begin to comprehend. Oh, hey, do me a favor. If you find this useful in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe channel. It is so hard to keep a YouTube channel going these days, and your subscriptions are the only thing that keep this channel going. All right, so this right here is the Godox Litemons LE600Bi. It's a 600 watt light that packs an incredible 212,500 lux of luminance in this body right here, all at once. Okay, now to start off, I'm gonna talk about a couple aspects of this light that really help set it apart from other things in this price range and in this power set. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the light here so I don't, just blast my camera as I move around. But the first thing I have to point out is this. This is a fully integrated body design. And what that means is that there's no ballast. You have the light and you have a cable. And this is the entire light itself. This makes for an incredibly compact form for light of this power. To have 600 watts without a ballast is something that I didn't even know was possible a couple years ago. So to have something like this, it's so much smaller than what you typically expect for a price with this kind of power delivery. And where this really makes a huge difference, if you're a practical shooter who's not driving around with grip vans or big, vehicles like that, this makes a really, really big difference in being able to get a powerful light with you when you're packing for a job, because you're packing so much other stuff in there, you don't have time for these gigantic cases. And I love like some of the Aperture 600s, I love those lights, but the cases on those things take up half of my back seat. Whereas this is so much smaller, I can take this off, and if I pop this off, you can see just what kind of a footprint that is. And the fan's all integrated in here, and it's very quiet. It stays nice and cool. It goes in there, and you can control the fan if you want to through the app or on the back if you want to be even more picky about any kind of sound that could come from any fans or cooling things in this light. And as someone that finds himself packing in lots of tight places for interviews and things like that, I just really, really appreciate not having to hang a ballast off of this thing, potentially something for someone to trip on, everything like that. Just having something so streamlined that literally, I can take this right here, I can pick it up and literally pop it in, plug it in, and I'm going to go. This literally goes from popping out of your bag to going in just as much time as it takes to literally plug in the cords. Okay, now the second thing I think we should absolutely focus on this light is going to be the power, because hey, this is a 600 watt light. That's the whole point of it, right? And so what I've done is I've come out here in an absolutely terrible circumstance to test if this 600 watt lights will get me what is a real practical need I'm going to need for a light this bright. And so what I've done is I'm sitting here on a cold winter day in front of an open garage door, middle of the afternoon. The sun is front lighting, nuclear, the background behind me. That thing is absolutely a nightmare to contend with if I'm in an interview situation or if I'm in a narrative situation. I need a light that can basically allow me to still get that background but still light the subject. Let's go ahead and see if this 600 watt light packs the power. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it on, and boom, you're gonna see right there, here I am. And that light has enough power. And I wanna point out something too about what this 600 watts, why it's so important to have. Not only am I matching the background behind me, but I'm in a 60-inch softbox right now going through 2 layers of silk. So I got a double diffuse 60-inch softbox, and I still have enough power to sit there and illuminate me as a subject. So this is the whole reason, in my opinion, why 600 watt lights are such a critical thing to have in your toolkit, because it gives you as a filmmaker the option to be in a very, very challenging situation like this, and you don't have to compromise on the background. Now, in reality, I would probably, if I was shooting this in a commercial environment, there'd be a pane of glass between me and the background, so that would kind of knock down this stuff a little bit, and I may have some more controlled environments. I probably wouldn't want to shoot directly into the sun front blasting the background behind me, but I'm just putting this in the worst situation possible just to show you just how much power you have on this light and the kind of kick you can get from it. Now, the other aspect about this light is that it is a bicolor light, as the name implies. And that means it has a color temperature range of 2800 all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. It lets you kind of dial in depending on what environments you're going in. So this really gives you the maximum output that this light can get in the bicolor configuration. However, if you are someone who really just wants an RGB option, they actually do make a version of this called the Litemons 600R. But just be aware that whenever you go to any kind of RGB light, you will lose output versus a bicolor light. And in my opinion, really the main reason why you use a 600 light anyway is you want to have as much light output as possible to battle things like this behind me. Now, the other thing about this is that even though this is really powerful, it is also very accurate, which is really important for commercial and narrative work. So this has a CRI of plus greater than equal to 95 and a TLCI of greater than equal to 95 as well. So this gives you color safe and skin tones you know you can take in your nonlinear editor and get to work. In addition to the bicolor range, you also get a standard FX that you'd expect on any LED lights nowadays. So this one comes with 11 FX, everything from TVs to lightning storms, you name it. Now, the third major aspect about this light that you have to talk about is going to be the value and the price of it. And you can get a 600 watt bicolor light for $499. And I've actually seen sales at B&H right now that you can get it for $399. I'll put a link down below if you're interested in that. But to get a light like this for $400, potentially $500 the absolute most, is just incomprehensible to me, seeing that even 2 or 3 years ago, you were paying over $1,000 to get a 600 watt light. So, and this light has high color accuracy, and it's just such a good form factor. And as you can see from that test I did with the background, it doesn't scrimp on power, which is what you want on a 600 light. This really makes it incredibly powerful and affordable. And this light is going to give you that power level that starts to separate and lets you start achieving things you couldn't with other lights. There's also one other aspect about a 600 watt light that I know I've personally struggled not having in my kit for a very long time. And that is, you know, I find that having something less than 600 watts, you're really always limited by shooting in front of, say, windows and other things like that, because the lights just can't overcome it, especially if you start using any kind of diffusers or modifiers on the lights. And what I've found is that 600 watts is that kind of base level of power that you need that will allow you to put some realistic diffusion and still get your glasses and your windows not being blown off of. And if you're a professional shooter, that's gonna be one of the most important things you wanna have in your kit. Now, the build on this thing is also worth pointing out too, because even though this thing is affordable, it is not, I mean, this is all metal, not a lot of plastic in here. And what I really like about this metal feels like it's just designed to take a beating. And I really like the fact that it's got this nice, good, thick power cord right here, and it's got a lock in it to keep it from accidentally popping out. You have to pull this to pop it out. So that's a really nice aspect to it. And as you can see, it's got a DMX out, DMX in, and a basic power switch. And then you have your controls right here if you want to do it. And what I like about this too, it's just got a very simple, easy to read display. I mean, it's got one dial that lets you go, and very intuitive mode, menu, and a Bluetooth pairing button. So it doesn't take a lot to figure it out. You cut this thing on, you're gonna be pretty much ready to roll. So it's good if you get a super powerful light without any of the fuss. And it's also got a really nice heavy duty yoke. And what I like about it is you can slip this yoke if you have like a combo, you can sit it in there, or it's got a nut. You can put this here on a standard C-stand as well. So, you know, I'm gonna pop this up just so you can see. So if you have like a standard like C-stand mount, you can actually pop it on there like that, or you can pop it out if you have more of a combo type situation. You can pop it in there. Either way, you're going to be good. You just have to have this screw if you want to put it on like a C-stand. So it's a really nice feature. And what I like about this yoke too is it is sturdy and heavy, good size handle, easy to grip. So that lets you hang any of the modifiers you want on there. And speaking of modifiers, this thing has something that all of us want to have, which is it's going to have a Bowens mount here on the front, standard Bowens mount, which means you can hang any of your modifier or accessories that you have for your lights, pop them right on here. You're going to be good to go without any issues. There's also one other design aspect of this that I thought was a small thing, but I thought it was kind of cool just to be aware of. If you look on the bottom here, it's actually got a holder for an umbrella. So you can literally take an umbrella, boom, and pop that in there if you just need that as a diffuser in a real fast setup. And the fact that this thing is designed for speed, I can appreciate having that kind of component built here into the light itself. And then if you are going to talk about this light, the last major thing you do need to talk about, because it's important and it's really well done on this, is going to be the wireless capacities of this light. And in this light especially, wireless is going to be even more important than ever, because while it's nice not having to deal with the hanging ballast, it also means that the controls of this light were going to be usually out of reach no matter what. And that's where you're going to want to be able to have your light control here on this light. Now, as I said before, this thing does obviously have DMX control, which you can control, but it is got Bluetooth wireless control through the Godox app. And the Godox app is just a really, really nice, solid app, super easy to use, very intuitive. And as you can see, I can click on here and now I have access to all the components of this light that I'm gonna get. You can see I can do my color temperatures, I can do my intensity range, and if I come over here, you can now see the FX that are, the 11 FX that are available here on this light, all right here into the app itself. And I can sit there and I can group different lights together. And what I like is someone that has a lot of Godox lights, I can take this light and then group it with different lights and get kind of a bigger overall control too. So it's really, really nice having this functionality. And if you want to, they also have an accessory called the Godox Time-Unlocks RX, and that allows you to get CRMX integration if you have a gaffer or a production team that wants to have a powerful light that they can control through a board like that. They also did one other cool thing about this, and they actually use the NFC tap to pair function on this light. So what that means is you can literally just hold the Bluetooth button here, and you can just hold your phone up here, and it's gonna instantly find your phone and connect to the app if you have the Godox app. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but it is absolutely enormous if you're someone like me who goes and takes his equipment and works with lots of different teams of people. So for instance, if I'm working with a new gaffer and I want them to control these lights from their phone so I can focus on the camera, now the gaffer can just come up, they hit this button, they just tap up like this, and boom, now they got control of the light and can do what they want. And then at the end of the set, when I want to get control again, I can just sit there, hit this, and tap back in. It just takes a second to do. This is a really, really nice feature, very, very good production tool to have. And let's say you have a row of these, like you have maybe 6 of them, your gaffer can literally come up and be like, bump, 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 and connect all the phones in here to these lights, super easy. Now, whenever I do a review of any product, I always like to point out what I consider any rooms for improvement, just so you're fully aware of what this product is and what it isn't, and to help you make the best decision if this is something that would make sense for you in your kit. Now, I will say, for a light like this that can give you so many professional features at this kind of insane price point, you have to be aware, just kind of starting out, that there are going to be a few features that are just not going to be included, so they can basically make these price points. So I would almost categorize this session not necessarily as a room for improvement. It's more of a heads up on some features that may be missing that could be important to you or not make a difference to you, but I just want you to be aware of it. Now, the first one is this. This is an incredible studio light and a controlled environment light, but this is not a weather-sealed light. So what that means is this is not going to be a light that you want to go hanging outside in a rainstorm or anything like that. So that is a very, very big factor, and that's going to be a consideration on a 600 watt light, because a lot of these times you may be blasting these through windows. So my advice is, if you have a sunny day, you'll have no problem with this, but just be aware that this thing is really designed more for studio and controlled environments, which is what makes it such a great light for narrative work, interior narrative work, and I especially think like corporate work, where you're basically always inside. Having something that's going to be a really, really powerful tool to have. The other aspect of this light that you should be aware of is that while it does have this incredible form factor, to keep the price, I think, at the point they did, it's not going to come with a carrying case with this. So you're basically going to get this in a box. So if you need a case, if that's something that's really, really important, be aware that's something you're going to have to purchase separately. It's not really a big thing for me because I've got so many cases laying away, and I tend to bunch all my lights together so I have them in one big case. And the size of this really helps me with that, because I can put this with the other ones and not have to have this giant ballast I have to worry about. But just be aware, if you need a case, you don't have a case, you're either going to have to get it. And then really the only other thing I would point out, and this is a super tiny thing, but I love the fact that this yoke can go in both the combo stand on on a basically C-stand. But I wish, if you want to put it in the yoke, you have to take out the screw. And I don't know if there's a place, I kind of like things you can screw It'd be nice if there's like a little space you could screw in this just to store it when it's here on the yoke, because I could see this getting lost. It's a small thing, but just one little thing I would point out. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much what I have to say here about the Godox Litemons LE600Bi. I mean, my final verdict on this light is this thing has got the power I have personally been craving for. I felt myself so limited by what I could achieve with my 300 watts and 400 watt lights. And this thing finally allows me the freedom to start getting those difficult shots in front of windows in difficult backlighting situation. And it's all at a price point that I think is pretty much unbeatable for this much power. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.